Hey guys, welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. I'm Brian, Mr. Smith, and today we're in the garage. Um, I know it's not Tuesday. Work has just been incredibly hectic, and there hasn't been a whole lot of time to do Tuesday videos. But today, we're still going to cook supper tonight. As a matter of fact, we're going to make a turkey pot pie, talk about what to do with some leftovers. But for this afternoon, this morning, we're going to well, it's morning for me. By the time this comes out, it'll probably be early afternoon. But we're going to do some work on the garage. So we're over the next few months. I know I had said something about doing a year in review, but realistically, other than the riots at the Capitol, there's not a whole lot new to talk about. The economy's still a wreck. Inflation's out of control. And you can blame the government on that. And in some ways, it is our government. And in some ways, it's just sheer greed, especially with major corporations. But, but with the price, with the increase in wages, you got to raise prices. Most medium to small companies, they operate on a pretty tight budget to begin with. And so to be competitive and raise wages so quickly, that's been the problem, is we raised wages so quick that helped to contribute to the inflation. I'm sure that was a major part of inflation, along with the pandemic we've endured. But, you had the January 6th attack on the Capitol, which I talked about at the beginning of the year. That's what stoked kind of the rebirth and renaming of my channel. But not a whole lot's changed. Things are still really expensive. The COVID variant has changed 3 times on a major level, about 19 times on a minor level. It's mutated. And I have been steadily encouraging everybody since day one of the vaccine to get vaccinated, get your booster. Majority of the people that are in the hospital now and still dying from this are people who haven't been vaccinated yet, and that's a shame. We're well over a year into having a vaccine, and we still have people dying because they're not getting it. And I don't get that. But anyhow, today, like I said, over the next few months, we're going to be doing some building, a little bit of remodeling, so to speak. And in order to do that, because we're going to put a kitchen in the basement, at least a small kitchen, so that way I have a little more room to, cook dinner with you guys, and cook in general. Not that we won't use the kitchen that's upstairs on the first floor where we've been filming. We still will. That'll be for, like small meals, things like that. But to do, Sunday meals, so to speak, things like that, we'll do them from the basement. But I want to build the cabinets for it downstairs. I built cabinets for a living for a good little while, and I thought, the more I thought to myself, why would I buy cabinets when I can just build them? And you can see them build them. But in order to build, I got to clean this area up. It's not filthy. Not that you can see everything, but this was all piled full of stuff right here, which I have moved off, because what we're going to do today is we're essentially going to take this bench out, half of it. We're going to go from basically the drawer over, and that's going away. I'm going to put the drawer over on this side, and we're going to put some shelving here. We're going to do 3 shelves up at 3 foot. And then this old bench is actually going to run across the top after that. So that way I have space to put my air compressor, which is sitting over here, and a little roll around tool chest over there. So it'll be 3 3-foot shelves up, and then this 8-foot piece of 3/4 inch plywood as a top shelf. And on that, I'm going to take some of the, I have probably 20 10-gallon aquariums sitting down in the basement empty. that we were using to breed shrimp in and other small, you know, fish and pistos and things like that. At one time, which we're not doing that because we don't own this house yet, and I refuse to do anything quite like that again until we actually own the house, which won't be for about another year. I'm hoping by this time next year, we're purchasing the house we're in. We really like this house. We got some plans for an addition off the back to give us, yet a bigger living area and a second bathroom. But over that time, I mean, there are small things that we need to get done here. And you're saying to yourself, well, it's a rental. Why would you do anything? Well, A, I like my landlord. He's awesome. B, it makes it easier for us to live. Like all the things I'm going to do to this garage throughout the year, we're going to insulate. I'm going to fix some of the wood on the outside. We're going to get it to where it's not quite as drafty in here, but I will utilize the space quite a bit. And then, like I said, that'll help me build the kitchen in the basement, which the kitchen in the basement isn't going to, cost that much. It's not going to be anything horribly fancy. We already have the biggest expense, which is the stove. So that just leaves me building a few cabinets with a countertop, and we're ready to run some wiring, and we're ready to rock and roll. There's already plumbing down there. It needs to be reworked a little bit, but no big deal. But we'll be ready to rock, hopefully I'm hoping no later than the beginning of May, because I'd like to, in the future, with some of our cooking segments, be able to bring friends over that enjoy cooking. I've got 2-3 friends that have culinary degrees that they just put to use at home, and I thought, well, wouldn't it be fun to cook with them? Maybe we can learn something. Maybe I can learn something. I don't have a degree in culinary anything or baking or any of that. So anyhow, that being said, I'm going to start tearing this down, and then after I get this tore out, we'll look at the next step in this process. I did not write any of this down. Very rarely, unless I'm doing a project for somebody, much like my videos, I kind of do them on the fly. I get a picture in my head of what it should be. I take some basic measurements. In this case, I know that's an 8-foot board that I need to use. It stops right here. And this was nothing more than 2 4x8, or a 4x8 piece of plywood that they ripped down the center and made a bench out of. So I'll take it apart over there using that pry bar, and then I measured my second measurement, since I knew I had 8 feet worth of space. My second measurement was, my tabletop woodworking tools, like my router table, my table saw, and my joiner. How wide are they? How tall are they? So that way I can get them on shelves. And my widest piece, which is my routing table, is 33 inches. So I know at 36 inches, I'm safe. And it's also my tallest piece at 20 inches. So I know I can go 22 inches in shelf height in between each shelf, which works for me. And then, of course, the top shelf will be 8 foot because I already have it. We just got to stabilize it more. So let me go ahead and get this tore out, and we'll move on to the next step. All right, see you here in maybe just 1 second. Maybe not. You never know, but I hope so. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, guys, so we it's been an interesting couple of hours. What I thought was going to take me no more than 30 minutes actually took me a couple hours. So as you can see, I've moved, but we got all that shelving, or the workbench, out, cleared away, moved. So in the process, I had my jigsaw out, cutting a small piece of the backboard there, and I went to unplug my jigsaw, and the entire outlet fell apart. Luckily, I have a half a dozen or so new 3-prong outlets on hand. I keep a little bit of everything. Anytime I go to the hardware store, I buy 2 or 3 more than I need because you never know if you're going to need them down the road. So when I go to get one outlet, I buy 3. And then I usually end up misplacing them or forgetting where I put them. And I go buy another one, buy 3 more. So I actually have like 6 outlets running around in my toolbox over there that are hospital grade, hard to unplug, damn near impossible to plug in. But while I had the power off to the garage, replacing that outlet, over by the door, I had a old 2-prong outlet. So I went ahead and just replaced them both while I was at it. The only one I didn't replace is behind that mess over there on what's left of the workbench. So got those replaced. Now I have new outlets in here, and in the process come to the realization this garage just needs to be rewired. And I'm going to rewire it. There's nothing wrong with the wiring. It's just a squirrel's nest. And it's not very efficient. So doing it myself, I'll make it a little more streamlined, up to date, more to code. I forget that every now and then, because this house is in such good shape, that this house was built in 1946. So there's been a lot of ads, takeaways. What I thought was for the workbench top over here, I think originally was a set of doors. This has got a spot in it. This is right here is the door, the bench that was over there. I got it sitting on a sawhorse using it to cut wood with. Has old doorknob holes in it. So I have a feeling this was either at one time a cabinet door or a door to I don't know what. But it's got hinge spots at the top and bottom, almost like a swinging door or something you would just pull the handles open like an inside closet door maybe, because it doesn't have the spot on the side here of the door or of the board for a latch. So when it shuts, it shuts. Who knows? It's hard to say. I mean, this board is like 70 years old, and I may actually just not use it for that top shelf and just go buy a new piece of plywood, because I really like this as a bench for my table saw. I think it would come in handy that way. But anyhow, so I'm getting ready to cut the last piece for the lumber. And this is not going to be a one-day project. You probably won't actually see this video. What would be, I guess, well, I mean, you'll see it when I put it out. But this is going to be maybe a 2-3 day process to get it done, because there's a lot of things that are running through my head as I'm doing this. And, I'll have the 3-foot wide shelves, which we're building now, up here, and then I'll still have the 8-foot that'll run across the top. But I think I'm going to tear this other bench down and redo it a little. I don't know if you can see it or not. Well, I'm sure you can see it, but I'll point it out. Like this leg right here was on the outside, and it's not held very well. None of this is held very well. It'll hold some weight, but it's not, in my mind's eye, right. So what I'm going to do is I'll build a sustainable frame for this workbench, because right now it doesn't have one, and that way it'll keep it even. But I'll put better legs on it to help support it better. I don't like the way we're going to do our new set of shelves is we're going to take the shelves and we're actually going to mount them to the studs in the back here for support, and then there'll be legs on either side on this side of the shelf, our side of the shelf, to give that extra strength, and then we'll put supports in. You'll see as we go to get that done. But anyhow, so I'm getting ready to cut the last piece of board, and I just really wanted to take this part to talk about safety working with saws. Let me bring it down here just a hair so that way you can kind of see what's going on. Oh, Oh, there we go. All right, so when you are cutting wood, now there's a bazillion ways to do this, and I'm sure somebody would tell me I'm wrong somewhere down the road, and that's okay. I don't care. I've been woodworking forever now. I've done it both as a profession and just as a hobby. I prefer it more as a hobby. And I don't have all the fine tuning tools in the world, but I do have a fair amount of them. So when I only measure out the first piece, okay? So in this case, I'm cutting what will be the sides of it, and when I'm cutting those out, I measured out this first piece. This first piece is 22.5 inches. Okay. The reason why these are going to be 24-inch shelves, but this will sit on the inside, so the boards will sit the boards you'll see in the front and the backboard will sit on the outside of this, which will make it 24 inches. Those boards are 3/4 inch thick, so I got an extra 3/4 inch here, 3/4 inch here, and I'll show you. So I cut this 22.5 inches. I lay it down on the board I'm going to cut. I make sure that it's even here and that it's flush with the boards are flush on the end. And then I simply take a pencil and I mark it across like that. And then I take my saw with my hand nowhere near this handle. Okay, you don't want it near the handle. I put it on the motor, which is right there, and I bring it down, and I make sure that my blade is just to, in this case, the left of the line. You know, you don't want to, because this is what I measured, okay, and the line's right here. We don't want to cut inside that line, or our board will be too short. So we want to cut on the outside of what we've measured. Either way, even if I had this flipped around, I still want to cut on the outside of the board I need, if that makes any sense. So when you cut, you want to make sure this is even. You want to make sure nothing's around you, okay? No little hands, kids running around, nothing like that. You want very minimal distractions. And you should wear ear protection and eye protection, all right? That way, because machines, they have a high frequency. They're loud, you know, and they can do damage to your ears. Unfortunately, my ears are pretty much shot. All the years of working around really loud ovens has taken its toll on my hearing for the most part. It still doesn't make it right, but that's just a fact of life. So when I cut, I have this board secured down, okay, with this right here, all right? This is securing this board. This board is not going anywhere, all right? I place my hand down here on the far end to hold this board down, you know, to keep it nice and level. I'm going to bring my sleeves up, okay? You don't want any clothing, nothing to catch on this blade. This blade can hurt you. I mean, it could even, in reality, kill you if you're not careful. So this hand, when I put it down, is far away from that blade, all right, and it's secure onto this tabletop. And then I'm going to bring I'm not going to start it way up here, okay? I'm going to be down here near the wood. I'm going to start it. And make my cut. I'm holding onto this board. This board, if you don't have to hold on to it, but in my case I do. I don't have anything to support it underneath. Yeah, and unlike some of the woodworking shows you can see on YouTube and whatnot, I don't have a big bench that holds my bench tools. That gives me that extra space. So I simply hold on. You want it, because if you don't, as it cuts, it'll tip, you know, and you run the chance of it being uneven here at the end, and you don't want that. So after I cut it, the board I showed you earlier, that I put up here earlier, I use the same board over and over again. Okay, that way I know they're always true. But see how that's even there, My sides are good and even. That way I know that these boards match. You know, all 9 of these boards match. Okay, so let me get stuff cleared up here, and then we'll look at the process of putting it together. Okay? Okay, so it's day 2. I wasn't able to get it all done in one day. That's a fair amount of work in one day. Plus, there was a lot going on, and having to replace those outlets really took some time. So we're on a different day. I hope to have most of this project wrapped up, hopefully in a couple days. We're about the halfway point, so we're in good shape. But I wanted to share with you what I got done so far. So worked all day today. Got home, and when I last left you, I was putting getting the shelves put together. Well, I got the frames put together, and I got them mounted on the wall, and I wanted to show you what I was talking about. So if we look, all right, so we got the shelves mounted right here, right? And I'm going to do the same thing in between here and here, but if you look right back here, well, right back there, see that pine board that's running up and down? That's actually supporting the weight. You can see the one right there now. I'm not in the way of it. But what it's doing is, and like I said, I'll do the same thing over here. These are just helper boards to hold the board that's going to hold the weight. And what I did was I screwed these into the wall, and I'm spreading out the weight of anything I put on the shelf by doing that. So the weight on the shelf, example, this table saw, will sit down on there. The weight will go out, down into, some of it will go into the screws that are holding the shelves to the wall, to those boards, and the screws that are holding those boards to the wall. But a majority of it will go down those boards and into the floor, into the cement floor. That way, I can put a greater load on there. And like I said, when these boards sit on end like this, so when I get this board down on here like this, you know, this board in itself will hold a lot of weight, you know, upwards of close to 1,000 pounds. So, you know, I can use a lighter wood. I know at least the bottom shelf will hold me. I stood on it. As it sits right now, and I only have one screw in each shelf going down those supports on the sides there. These ones here. Sorry, I'm not used to looking backwards, but these ones over here, that one there and that one there, are, you know, and it'll at least hold me, and I'm, you know, not light. I thought you thought I was going to tell you my weight. I mean, I don't really care. I weigh 216 pounds at the moment, which if you watch my last year's year in review video, one of my goals was to lose weight, and I've lost 23 pounds so far. Part of it is because of the Adderall they got me on for my ADHD, but we just really truly started eating right and cutting out pretty much all preservatives, which is nice, you know. But different story, different time. So what do I got to do next is I got to put the plywood on there on each of these 3 shelves. There's 3 shelves total. Let's see if I can area you down there to see them. But there's the top shelf, middle shelf, and the bottom shelf that's 4 inches off the ground. And then there's 22 inches of space in between each of those. So what I'll do is I'm going to cut pieces of plywood. These are only 3 feet across, so they don't require a center support. Wood is strong enough that realistically, unless you get much more than 3 to 4 feet, depending on the thickness of your board, those are 4-foot boards, so I'm not going to go any wider than 3 feet. You don't really need a center support. You don't have to worry about bowing. I'll have the plywood on there that'll stiffen that up all the way across and help to distribute that load down. It really is about weight distribution. Plus, I don't plan on putting thousands of pounds on these shelves. If I was going to do that, I would go metal. Wood right now is so expensive that in order to do the wood that it would require to do thousands of pounds on each of these shelves. It's just cheaper to buy metal shelves. Is what it comes down to. Pine is not a horribly hard wood. It's a soft wood. So it's not something that you would want to put a lot of weight on. Well, you can. It gets way too, for garage shelves, way too much. But anyhow, this is where we're at. So my next steps are going to be tomorrow morning. I'll go and I got to run to the store, to the hardware store. I got to get some stuff for Sarah. Sarah's putting up her own shelves. I'm so very proud of her for it. All she asked for was some advice. But I'll go ahead tomorrow. I've got a 4x4 sheet of plywood sitting off to your left, my right, that I will cut down to fit 2 of these shelves. And then the third shelf I'll have to go buy another piece of plywood for. And then I will get the pieces cut to put the 22-inch pieces cut to do the supports on the front here. I got the ones in the back, those ones there, right there. I'm going to do the same thing on the front, right along there. And then I'll put my shelves in. And then the only thing I'll have left to do at the moment, this thing keeps changing and evolving as it goes, because I get thoughts in my head and I want to, add to, critique, what am I going to put on these shelves? Like I said, as it stands right now, like the table saw will go there. I have a planer or a joiner that will go probably next to it. I've got a table saw that will go, a router that'll go on the bottom shelf. Not sure about the top shelf yet, but tomorrow, after I get those supports in and I run to the store, get my other piece of plywood, get Sarah her the screws she needs for her shelves, I got to take and clear off all that stuff right there. That shelf has to go because originally none of this was going to be this high, but that shelf's going to go. I'm going to use the part of the bench we took out, run it across with a frame, and connect it to the top. So that way I've got 3 shelves to play with, plus that 4th shelf, which is going to hold a bunch of 10-gallon fish tanks. And it'll easily support it. But I probably have close to 16 10-gallon fish tanks down in the basement that I'm not using at the moment. We will eventually, I'm sure, once we buy the house. But until then, I'm not setting them up. Fish tanks will be a minimum. But when the time comes, I'm sure you guys will find it absolutely amazing, all the stuff that goes into it. That's what kind of advanced my woodworking skills, my plumbing skills, my electrical skills was fish. The fish hobby, when you get into it, it teaches you a lot. I mean, a lot. And allows you to do, I know most people find research boring. I don't, but it allows you to do a lot of research. So we're to this point here. We've got new outlets in the garage. We've got three shelf frames up. Tomorrow, which, you'll see it. It'll be like literally in a few minutes for you, or a few seconds. We're going to get the plywood put on and those other supports in. And I'll tell you how I did that. So when I come back, we'll talk about supports, plywood, and how I'm going to frame that top. All right, I'll see you in just a second. Hey guys, so this is day 3-ish, I think, 3, 4, maybe, day 4, for my build on the cabinets, and they're done, for the most part. At least stage 1 is done. So as you can see over here, we've got all 3 shelves up. I got the top shelf up right there. Aquariums will eventually go there. Right now I got boxes sitting up there, and that's because they're kitchen stuff for the basement. I got my air compressor over there and hooked up. I've got my little roll around there and ready to go. So now I'm going to move on to the next phase, which will be a different set of videos. And what we're going to do is I'm going to redo all of this over here. Now these 2 cabinets on the bottom were originally stacked up with each other along the wall here by the one window here in the garage. But I decided I'm gonna put them underneath, and what I'm getting ready to do now, which you'll see in a later video. This will be the last video for this, for my Tuesday video. But what we're gonna do, let me get that turned over here a little so you can see a little better. Maybe the lighting is horrendous. So what we're gonna do is take the one cabinet and move it over so they're butted up against each other. I'm going to shorten this bench down to 6 foot, which would be the length of these cabinets. And let me see if I can make that lighting just a hair better. What do you say? There we go. That's a little better. But we're going to, those cabinets, when they're pushed together, are 6 foot. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a 6 foot run as a workbench, because I've already got a workbench. You're actually sitting on it as we speak. And it's an L-shaped workbench with the ability to go straight, and it'll go along this wall that's over here. But 6 foot bench, and then I'm gonna build shelves up against it. Sorry, I keep turning away from you. I just noticed that it makes the light bright. So we're gonna do 6 foot long workbench, shelving up beside the cabinets all the way up. And then I'm going to put 2 shelves across the top here. One to match the shelf that's right there, the top shelf, and then one just right below it. Doesn't have to be very big. What I'm still needing, because I want my workbench to be open, and this workbench here that you're currently sitting on, I'm putting on casters. That way, because like right now it's L-shaped, but it has the ability to go straight. Here, I can probably even show you real quick. Let me grab my camera. You'll have to excuse the mess because I'm still trying to figure out where to put everything. But right here is you're sitting on the outcrop of it right here, and then it goes across there. And those the cabinets used to sit right there where that shovel is. But we've moved that. And like I said, this is probably going to take a month or so to get done, just because of time and the amount of stuff that needs to be done. Sorry about that. So what I'm looking at doing is I need a place to put some gardening tools. I need a place to put my paints. I got paint stuff, tile, and grout stuff for days. I have enough tools I could almost build you a basic house. I'm only missing a handful of specialty tools, I think, and that's just because we haven't needed them yet. But we've got all the tools you need to tile and grout, redo aquariums, build aquarium stands. Just pick a subject. I've got a whole slew of electrical tools and plumbing tools and things like that, and I need to find a home for them. I'm trying to keep as much as I can out of the house, so that way, I have my here, because this is where I'm going to do a majority of my building. When we go to build the cabinets down in the basement, yes, we are going to build the kitchen cabinets, but we're going to need wiring. There is an outlet on the wall that I'm going to put the little kitchen area at, but I need more outlets. Now, luckily, that one outlet is literally on a breaker all its own. It's the only thing on it, so that's awesome. So that means I can put a couple, 2, 3 more there, and that, because we won't be using them all at once, and so we'll never pull enough power out of that line to trip a breaker. But I still have to run an outlet for the stove, a 220 outlet for the stove, and I got to put some different lighting down there, and then we have to put some plumbing down there. On the laundry room side of the basement, from the fish room / kitchen, right now sits an old cement sink, which if you look at my video, the tour of the house when we first moved in, you'd see it. Sits an old, that cement sink is as old as time itself. But it's going to come out, and we're going to put a kitchen sink down there, with a nice kitchen cabinet for it to sit on. That way, I can use it as a good utility sink. The only thing I do down there utility-wise is use it for water changes, and so that way I can keep it for what I need and still make it a kitchen sink with very little adapting. But we have to be able to do that. So I mean, I've got the plumbing tools to do it. We're going to run PEX down there for the. There's no lines running for the washer. Well, there are, but they're connected to the cement sink and they're cast iron piping, and we need basically we're going to update some of the plumbing, and it won't be hard, and it won't even be horribly expensive. More expensive than it would have been 2 years ago, but that's just because of inflation. But I need someplace to put all these tools. You know, I've got a majority of my hand tools already on this wall right here. What I've got out, along with all my ceramic gnomes and turtles and whatnots, they keep me happy. You know, laugh at me if you will, but they keep me happy. I love garden stuff. Yeah, and I gotta build a shelf for these guys because they don't stay out in the wintertime. They come in the fall and go back out in the spring. They just weren't made to sit outside all year round. My mother-in-law makes those, and you know, she does a really good job at it. So anyhow, that's pretty much where we're at. Stage 1 is done. Those shelves are built. I do have a few more screws to put into things like that. Top shelf isn't screwed down at all, although it weighs like 800 pounds. I still want it screwed down, help give the whole thing complete structure. It does not move, and it will hold me, so I know it'll hold at least a couple 100 pounds. I know this because I sat on it. You know, best way to find out if you build it right is to put some weight on it. I put the heaviest thing in the garage on it, and that's me. So I know that it'll hold what we need. Now we got to move on to stage 2 of the shelf building, and that's taking care of all of this and getting a couple more shelves up top, giving me a little workbench area for gardening. Shelves over here, and the shelves in the corner here, once I get the cabinets moved over, they're actually, at least the ones underneath, are going to, well, the whole thing, because that'll be shelves all the way up. Probably 5 shelves, not wide, but 2 foot deep, probably about 18 inches wide. And they'll run out here just past the shovel. And then that way I can put my bench along there and we'll be in good shape. Once I get that done, I can get my gardening in here. It'll be about get all the stuff situated, maybe beginning of February. It'll be time to figure out some way to consistently heat a small area of this garage. And I may even just find a place in the basement to do it, but it'll be time to start seeding vegetables for spring. I know it just never stops. So I'll get this done. And then hopefully over the next month, get this all organized. We'll be able to pull cars in so I can do tune-ups on them and keep them running good. We'll start building the cabinets. We'll start seeding for the garden for this spring. That way I've got good, healthy plants to put out in the raised beds that we're going to do. So we'll get to learn how to do raised beds. I've done them before, but I'll get to show you guys. And then after that, we'll be back to, hopefully it'll settle down. I'm hoping by May. And by then I'm sure I'll find 5 other projects for us to do. But that being said, I know this has been a really long video. Thank you for letting me ramble and show you what I'm doing out here. And so this week, I still don't know what we're doing Wednesday for dinner, but I'll figure it out. Tomorrow, if this video comes out on Tuesday, which it may come out before then. Probably not, but it might. So I don't know what we're going to do for dinner yet. Thursday, like I said last week, I really want to bake another Swiss roll, a different type of Swiss roll, and it'll be the blackberry Swiss roll on a vanilla sponge cake, blackberry cream center, and a lemon glazed topping. So I think that sounds good. So I think that's what we're going to do. But if you have any other suggestions, let me know. If there's anything you guys ever want to see me try and make or bake, dinner, dessert, whatever, just let me know down in the comments. So Until dinner time tomorrow, tomorrow. This will come out Tuesday. I love you. I love you very much. And I mean that. I really do. I take nothing for granted. Your guys' time and the fact you watch me is awesome. Tell somebody else you love them and you love them very much. You know, it will make their day a whole lot better, I promise. I know it does mine. I hope it does yours when I tell you. So until tomorrow, I love you. I'll talk to you later. Bye.